All right, looks like we are live. God, we haven't done a live stream on This Week in Photo in a while, and I can't think of a better way to bring back our live streams than an F64 live image competition. That's what we're doing tonight, folks. We are recording this, or actually recording and streaming, but we're gonna edit this down and put a slightly tighter version up after the live stream finishes. So feel free to chime in the chat room. You guys know what to do. Off to the right there of the video is a chat window. We will be looking at that during the session as much as we can. We're going to step through several images and give our comments on each. Backstage, waiting in the wings nervously, sweaty palms pacing back and forth, is Troy Miller and Kai Gradert to sort of step through this stuff. Let me introduce you guys first before we do the quick intro. Bring you guys on. Hey, how you guys doing? You guys ready for this live stream?
How's it going?
Yeah,
Always ready.
You're always ready. Troy, you live right there. That's like your nest.
It is. It is my nest, and you can only see what's clean, right? Because I have all my stuff right here, all within arm's reach. I got apples, and I got drinks, and
you got assorted little knickknacks on this shelf behind you that each of them has a specific memory. I know, right?
Yeah, this is true.
Including that anvil. There's an anvil back there for some reason.
Everybody needs an anvil in their office.
Of course, why not? All right. Also, Kai, what's going on, Kai? Welcome.
How's it going?
It's going good, man.
Going well.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. Look at your video. How in the heck is your video that sharp? It is like you could cut an apple with that video.
That's my Sony A9 hooked up to the Mac.
There you go. It's perfect. Very good. All right, guys. I'm gonna just double check, make sure that all systems are go on the YouTubes. And then we'll get this party started. What do you say?
Perfect.
Let's do it.
All right. All right. Looks like we are good, people. All right. So the way this is going to go is I'm going to record this. Like I said in the beginning, I'm going to record this and we're streaming live for the interaction. But I'm going to start it off kind of like we do a traditional This Week in Photo where I do a little tease. So the people that are watching this get to see sort of how the sausage is made, essentially. So I'm going to do a little tease, a little pause, and then an intro, and then we're off into the races doing our critique. Troy Miller, just a little housekeeping. You want to, before we start the show proper, you want to do your sort of spiel of how things are going to go now, or you want to do it after I do the full intro?
Let's do it now. I mean, that way we can get all that out of the way, and then that way the full intro, it's just clean and it runs after that, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, go for it. Tell us what this is all about, then.
So basically, coming from F64 Live, for those that were there were lots of amazing images created, and we thought, it would be really fun to bring those all together and create a collection of those and have a little bit of a competition. So what we've got here is Frederick and Kai are going to be doing the critiquing. I'm going to be running the slideshow in the background, bringing up the images, announcing the titles, and they're going to give their critiques on these images. So there's going to be some positive feedback as well. There's going to be some criticisms, some things they like and don't like. And towards the end, when we get to the end, they're going to have to pick their first place, second place, and third place, and they need to agree. And we get to audience that live. So initially, we had hoped to have those things, maybe some favorites picked, but what the heck, we're gonna do it live. So you get to see that happen.
No, I was gonna pick. I seriously was gonna pick mine, and then I basically ran out of time. But I thought, why not do it live? Let's do it live.
Yeah.
Let's do it live.
Yeah, might as well, right?
Yeah, nothing like live. Let's form. Why form your opinion ahead of time when you can form it in front of a live studio audience? So.
This is true. All the debating and everything's going to be happening right here.
Yep, all the arguing and fighting and bloodshed, all that will be live in front of an audience.
And I also have Miller's Imaging was kind enough to sponsor a Miller's Choice image, and I've already sent them the images, and they have already picked their winner. So I will announce that at the end. They get the winner will get a plaque, an acrylic block plaque with their image in it, and a $150 wall art certificate for Miller's. So that was nice of them to provide that. So we'll announce that at the end.
Love it. Love it. I want to acknowledge a couple people in the chat room. We've got a couple people piling in there. Some familiar faces. Thomas Aaron is in there. Rebecca Lee's in there. Scott Heath, what's up, Scott, is in there. Amelia Durham is in there. Low Bass Guy, we all know who that is, but apparently etiquette says I'm not allowed to say his real name, so that's Low Bass Guy in there. I learned that etiquette from Low Bass Guy on his Twitch channel.
It's bass.
Low Bass Guy.
See, welcome to live.
That's what I said. I said Low Bass Guy. What are you talking about?
You're right. Sorry.
I like bass, because it's like a fish that's swimming in deep waters. I'm gonna go with Low Bass Guy. Yeah, Thomas Aaron is in here. What's up, Thomas Aaron? Yeah, lots of people. Good. So, you guys know what to do. Post your questions, comments, criticisms, etc. in the chat, and we're gonna get this show on the road. You guys ready to do this?
Yeah, of course.
All right, here we go. Gonna start the recording now, and we are rolling. Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of This Week in Photo. This is a special episode where we are helping the F64 Live people, one of which is me, sort of review the images that a lot of the people that were at the F64 Live event a couple months ago that they submitted. That was the F64 Live event in down in where's that, Riverside area, Southern California, down below where I am, which is Northern California. So we're gonna do that, and that's coming your way next on this episode of This Week in Photo. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of This Week in Photo. It's time for the F64 Live image critique. Joining me today are two people, the first of which is Mr. Kai Gradert, both of which are correct pronunciations, which I learned just a few minutes ago, depending on what side of the pond you're from. Kai, before we dive in, man, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I'm a landscape and time-lapse photographer, currently based in Santa Barbara. Just recently moved down here. Yeah, we primarily shoot time-lapse. Primarily astrophotography. Joshua is kind of my go-to destination.
Yeah, your work is fantastic, man. It is beautiful. Before we dive in, where's your URL? Where can people go to see some of your time-lapse work?
Just my website, photos.kaigradert.com.
Okay, perfect. And of course, on the show is the man who put F64 Live together, the glutton for punishment himself, Mr. Troy Miller, the repeat offender glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Troy, for the folks that may not know who you are, tell us a little bit about you and what this F64 Live thing is and this image competition, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, so my name is Troy Miller. I am actually imagery concepts photography. I do weddings for a living. That's what I do. I also am Spicy Jello. So for those of you that might know my fine art site, so I do that. And then F64 was sort of an offshoot of some of the things that I do with some of my local camera organizations. I thought, let's do a big in-person event. So for some reason, I decided to organize that and put that together. And with Frederick's help and the help of many others, by the way. I didn't just do it all alone. And from those images that were created at that event, we have this competition. So we're going to see 30 some images today. They're going to come forward and get critiqued, get some winners. First place, $200. So, good luck to everybody.
I need that. Am I eligible to win that? Can I participate?
You didn't take any photos.
Hey, here we go. I can end this stream now, buddy. All right. Yes, I actually do need that public shaming because yes, I have not shot a lot over the past year or so, and I'm changing that, especially after being inspired at the Sue Bryce Portrait Masters Conference. So, watch this space. All right, man, let's dive in. You guys ready to look at some images?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. All right, Troy Miller, you have the screen, I believe. I should be sharing your screen.
No, you're not sharing it yet. Am I not sharing? Let me start sharing. Maybe it ended. There it goes.
Okay, let's make sure. Let me put it back on you.
There we go. Yep,
there it is. Yep. Okay, here we go.
Perfect. All right.
Set it up. Take us through it, man.
Yeah, so I'm going to announce the title, and then you guys get to see the image. Now, you guys have maybe already seen the preview of some of these, but here we go for everybody else. So this first one is called Beautiful.
Beautiful. I got to make my window big for these.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys can just take turns. We'll just start with Kai because he's the guest.
Sure, I will jump in. First impression is a very very pleasant image. I like the look directly in the camera. I think you're instantly connecting with the subject. I like the lighting, like the lighting from one side and then the dark side on the other side. I like that the headpiece is in full view. Probably like something I would probably consider. I would probably consider burning the site where the light is a little bit more. It almost looks like a light, but I think it's just a wall. So I would probably tone it down a little bit, maybe even a little bit from the bottom, so there's more focus on the face itself. But overall, I like this image a lot.
Yeah. I would echo all that, and I love this image. I love the processing, and I love the black and white treatment that they did, that the artist did. That it's not overly crunchy. I know Troy would probably say that there's too much shadow on her nose on this side and all that, because I've heard Troy critique things for 85 times now. So I know. But no, I think what I would do on this image is crop in a little bit tighter. I like the treatment around the border edge there, so that is cool. But I'd like to have a tighter crop, like maybe just under the breasts and maybe down just a hair and maybe in just a little bit on the just make it a little bit tighter, because a lot of that stuff on the outside you don't really need to see, and it sort of detracts away from what the purpose of this image is. And the first thing I see when I look at this image is her eyes, and then my eyes travel around the image, and then I notice, oh, there's tentacles in there. Okay, that's interesting. I want to see that quicker than I would than having to study the image. And I think what takes away from that is that strip of light down the side there, which is kind of drawing me over to the right side of the frame.
Very cool. Yeah, I agree with everything. I really have nothing to add. Imagine that.
That is a miracle,
white, right? So.
Well, if all three of us give intensive critiques, we'll be here for 3 hours. So
yeah.
All right. So our next image is catch.
Catch. All right. So this one is interesting. So there's a lot going on, and like for me, the focus is really on the ball and the hands, and I would crop this really heavily. I would crop almost just the hands and the ball. And the fastest way to improve your photography is to master the crop. That's an easy way to do it, because like the question is like, what's the story here? And the person in the lower corner, to me, doesn't really add a lot to the story. It's just like the hands grabbing for the ball. So I would probably just like crop the hands, crop the ball, and then just let the rest up to the viewer to actually figure out what might be happening in the scene. But the snapshot itself is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I agree. And from a famous photographer that I know that really hates it when body parts get amputated. Somebody's on the call that doesn't like it when you amputate parts. So, I joke, but Troy, that's one point that you make all the time of not, how disconcerting it is when body parts get amputated, and we're cutting off the athlete's foot in this shot. I think they could have mitigated that a little bit. Like Kai was saying, we don't need the athlete that's just standing there on the left. He's not really part of the story. So maybe crop up to maybe even as far as the waistline or above of the guy catching the ball, and go for sort of a crop like up there, bring in the sides a little bit. We don't need that building on the right side, and the blank side to the right of the tree is not really adding to the story, or to the left of the tree is not really adding to the story that much either. So just bring it all in tighter. Then we see the expression quicker on the athlete's face. We see the ball. We see that peak action tension, and we're not distracted by the amputated leg or the other guy in the shot. That's not, this cool expression he has, but it's not really adding to the story of this particular photo.
Right. Right. I love the timing, and I love his tongue sticking out. I love he's very focused on that ball. So.
Yep.
All right. Our next image is called Dreaming.
Oh, look at that. This model was fantastic, by the way. This model wasn't even intended to be a model at F64. She was just tagging along. And you knew that, right, Troy? She just got tapped at the last minute to say, "Hey, can you pose?" And boom, there she is.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great pose. This image to me like stood out right away. It's like I like her. There's like a lot of emotion on the image. I like her pose. I like the light. I like the facial expression. One thing that threw me off is the frame, the photo frame. I think the photo frame just distracts from the image. It's basically, I think it takes away from the classiness of the image. And you already have a vignette on there, so the vignette itself already functions as a frame. I would crop this tighter, throw the photo frame out, and then maybe try a black and white.
I like that.
Yeah.
But overall, I like this a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know I'm not a big fan of mats that are part of the photos. Maybe I'm old school. I mean, a mat is great, but I want a physical cut mat. If you're gonna do a mat, I want it cut and physical, and laying on top of a print with a frame around that. I think that feels heavier and more produced than doing it in Photoshop. Unless it's like a key line around the edge, then that kind of draws your eye in. But an oval mat like this, I'd want to see it sort of physical. I agree with this. I would love to see this as a black and white treatment, but the pastel color palette of this shot doesn't bother me. I mean, it sort of adds to the femininity of the shot, and her pose is very feminine. It's very soft. I can almost smell perfume, looking at this shot. so no, I like it. I love the pose. I love the sort of pensive look. She's not looking directly at the camera. And even if she was looking at the camera with that exact same pose, but making eye contact with the camera, would have been, a really interesting take on the pose too. I like this one. I like this one a lot. Aside from I don't like the border treatment, but I like this. I like the shot itself. And without that border treatment, Kai, like you said, it would have made sense to punch in, a bunch on the shot.
Right. Good info. All right, so our next image is called Viking Passport Photo.
That's awesome. Would they let him on a plane like that? Can you put your gauntlet through the conveyor belt for TSA?
This one I like. I wish there would be a little bit more emphasis on his face. There's like a lot of texture. There's like texture in the coat. There's texture in the hair. There's like texture on the face itself. I would probably try to do like a little bit more like dodging and burning on the face itself. Maybe have a little bit of a vignette, so there's like more focus on the face itself. Right now, it's like I'm having a hard time trying to figure out like what the focus point is. But overall, I like this one.
Yeah. I struggle looking at this one because it is a passport photo. That's what actually. It is a passport photo, but it is a passport. If you look at the passport photo guidelines, it wouldn't pass as a passport photo because they need flat lighting for that. So yeah, I mean, it's a cool shot. I would have loved to. I think this one had been interesting in a series of other shots that show him maybe a triptych. That here's one look, and then there's another one with him making an angry face, and then another one with him looking, in a different mood or something. But standalone, I search for what's the purpose of this shot. I get the passport kitschiness of it, but is this a portrait? It doesn't really stand as a portrait. And then there's no other elements to make it stand as a sort of illustrative sort of, editorial type shot. So yeah, I struggle with this one a little bit.
Good deal. All right. Our next image is From Desolation, There's Hope.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, this one I like a lot. It's like I like the muted colors. I like the color combination where the dress is blending with the skin tone. As a viewer, I'm wondering what she's looking at. I like the pose, like the way the hands are bent and folded. This one I like a lot. There's probably like a little bit of dodging and burning I would do on this one, like maybe like try to take some of the floor out, maybe have like a gradient mask from the bottom.
Yeah.
But overall, I like that there's like extra room above her head, which basically guides the eye. You're basically trying to figure out what she's looking at.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. When I look at this one, the first thing that pops into mind is the same thing, Kai. What is she looking at? Which is not a negative. I'm not saying that's a negative. It just adds to the mystery of the shot. Like maybe there's an alien spaceship or something up there, and she's waiting on it to come get her. She's like, finally, you guys came. I've been waiting.
It's also a nice use of the light. It's basically it's like the light is falling onto her face. And it's I don't think it's a negative at all that you're actually wondering. I think if the viewer is wondering, I think it draws the viewer in and actually tells the story, a little bit of mystery.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Adds a bit of mystery. I agree with you, Kai, on the cloning out some of the floor detail there. That would have been fine just to get rid of that, have that drop out. But I'd also be interested to see what this looks like in black and white. Because this is another one of those shots that would probably, it doesn't look bad in color because it's this warm sort of color palette with her skin tones and the dress. They sort of work together. But in black and white, I'd be interested to see how those tones play against each other. And then with the pearls, with those pop out, or could you do a little work to make those pop a little bit, and maybe bring the face up a little. I think it's a really cool shot. I think it stands strong, both color and I think it probably would work as black and white as well.
Yeah, super good critique. I would suggest a burning down on her clavicle, on her shoulder, so that her face stands out a little bit more. I feel like her shoulder is a little bit too bright right there. Maybe bring the overall exposure down just a little bit. Let the rest of her body fall into darkness. But what a cool shot. Yeah, it's a very cool shot.
Yeah, it is.
So the next one is called Girl in the Sun.
Girl in the Sun. All right, I'll just jump in. I like the idea of the shadow play. Like the obviously it's like harsh daylight photo, and it's always kind of tricky to actually shoot during daylight. So actually leveraging the shadow, I think is smart. For me, it's like I would probably crop just the top of her body. I'm not sure that the stomach or the pants add much to the photo itself. I would probably just crop onto the face, just like a little under the top, and then just like draw onto the face itself.
Yep. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah, I agree with that. I would have cropped up to maybe just enough to show that she has she's not nude, right? So crop down just enough to show that there's clothing there, and then again that would have brought focus and more attention to the face, which is the hero and the subject of this shot.
Yeah, and bring the exposure way down. Because when you're shooting in the sun and you got those shadows, let the shadows go really dark. Bring that face down, because right now it's probably 2 stops maybe overexposed. Stop and a half. Yeah. Cool shot. They're all cool shots. The next one is called Girl.
Oh, look at that. Look at all the detail in that.
That's a lot of color. Go ahead, Kai.
Yeah, this one is interesting. It's like this one to me is like there's like a lot to look at, but at the same time it's like I'm not really sure what to focus first. There's like the crazy pattern of the shirt. And the longer I look at it, the more uncomfortable I get, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's like there's like the green background, and there's like I don't know if that's a curtain or not. It's like I can't really figure out what's going on. Like if I had taken the shot, I would probably try to reposition myself so I actually have a clear background. But obviously that's not possible in post. But the model itself. I like the styling of her. It's just like there's just too much going on in the background.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's those trees off to the back of her add nothing to the story, and they're just they distract from the subject. And I think the subject is interesting because of the hair, obviously, and then the color of the hair. So she's got this amazing red hair, great expression, crazy sunglasses on, and then the pattern of the light that's on her hair. So there's a lot of detail in here. I mean, she, when I looked at this, I was like, she looks like Aquaman's crazy ex-girlfriend or something. So, but to have that, I mean, I think you could have solved this by, like we've been saying a lot, I think it's a theme, punch in a little bit, crop that background out of there. You could crop up just below her breast line there. and in on the left and the right side a little bit, and maybe even Troy, sorry, cover your ears, chop the top of her head off a little bit, right? To get into the face, because the subject of this is her smile and her face, and that's what you want to emphasize. It's about that.
I think it's the styling, it's her outfit that you kind of want to punch in.
Yeah, there's this is one of those images where there's so much going on that, you make that a benefit and you push in, and because, her face, her hair, the glasses, the smile, the necklace, the outfit, we don't need the pattern on the ground, the pattern on the left wall, the pattern on the we're overloaded with patterns. So push in tight, right? I kind of think that's what we're saying, is just push in tight and get the mask of her face. There's lots of stuff going on there.
Yeah. But you could lean into that, right? You lean into the fact, make that the point of the photo, that it's just patterns all over the place, patterns and colors. I even, drag that clarity slider to the right a little bit, make the patterns and colors pop out even more. Like, lean into it and say that's what this is about. It's about the fiery, rusty red hair and the crazy dress she has on, and the pattern of light that's on her that's shining through those, I guess, chains or chain link fence, whatever that is.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah.
All right. So our next image is called The Sea Witch.
Oh, good grief. See, this is why you go into these critiques without having looked at the image, right? Because it's like, it's entertaining. I love this.
I'll jump in. I like the title. I'm just not sure the title translates into the image itself. I like the I guess it's a composition, right? There's like water overcomposed or overimposed. It's a little soft focus to me. So it's like overall the image itself, it's a little flat. Again, it's like I would probably crop in a little bit, add a little bit of a drama. When I think about the witch, I feel like there needs to be some drama to the story.
Yeah. I think when I look at this, my brain, on every shot I look at, I'm looking for the subject. A, what's the subject of the story, or who's the hero, and then B, with can that hero be made more impactful, or can we emphasize that hero more? When I look at this shot, clearly we know who the hero is. Do we need all that water around there? Maybe, if you're trying to tell the story. I don't necessarily mind it. I see tracks of dodging and burning around the edge. I know obviously the witch / sea goddess is composited into this water, but around the edge there, I'm not sure if it's just me or the job, but I see a halo around the subject there. I don't know if that's intentional or not, or if that's not a halo, maybe there's a vignette on here that's darkening the edges. In either case, I don't want my attention drawn to that. I want my attention drawn to the subject. And the way to do that is to, not be afraid of the subject and not be afraid to get closer in post if necessary.
So well said, Frederick. Jeez, must get a lot of practice.
Yeah, I've been drinking Coke and coffee today. I'm sorry, Coca-Cola and coffee today.
Oh man! All right, our next image is called Headshot.
Headshot.
Yeah.
Headshot. This one for me is tricky. It's like I like the flat treatment. I'm a big fan of the flat treatment. But I'm trying to figure out what the story is here. I'm trying to figure out like what the I don't know if this was like intended to be a boudoir shot or not. It's like I'm trying to figure out, it's like, is she like dropping the dress, or is the dress really short, or it's like I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. So it's like I would either zoom out a little bit. It's like again, it's like to me, there's no clear focus here. There's no clear subject here, and I'm not really sure what the story is.
Yeah, when I look at this show, I lived down in your area, Troy, for a while in Marina Del Rey, and I did headshots for a while. And so I know my way around a headshot or two, and this is sort of a classic headshot. So looking at it through that lens, especially since I said it's a headshot, looking at it through that lens, would this be successful as a headshot? I think it could be successful as a headshot with a couple of caveats. The processing is what gets me, what throws me off a little bit. Like, I know this is against a dark background, and I see that the artist wanted to sort of give it that washed out sort of old, underexposed black and white negative look, and I think they succeeded there. But at the result of having that noisy sort of background back there, which sort of feels like a mistake. So I don't know, maybe we could have dropped that background out or done something to smooth that out. But I think the model herself is great. That's a great pose. I like the look. I like the eye contact with the camera. The artist probably could have done a little bit of retouching on her to remove some of, if this is a headshot, these actors, actresses, musicians, whomever, performers want to look their best for the people that are looking at them. So you want to make a light pass of retouching over them and remove any scars or imperfections. One quick note: I interviewed Pratik Naik earlier. He's a really good retoucher, and one of his rules of thumbs for retouching people was, the question was, what do you remove from a shot? Like, do you remove scars, do you remove moles or whatever? His rule of thumb is he only touches things or retouches or removes things that will be gone in a month. Or that are not permanent. Otherwise he asks permission. So if there's a scar or something, he won't remove it. He'll say, do you want me to remove the scar? If there's a scratch or something that looked like it happened that morning, obviously he'll take that out. So this is a quick tip.
Yeah, good info. I like this image probably more than you guys do. I probably crop off the right side, like half of that blank space there a little bit. But the thing that troubles me with this is the blue on her head, and it's not just her hair, right? Because it's going across her forehead as well. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. Could be a gradient, could be just the way that it was toned, could be a filter. But the blue in the hair, I think, is kind of creative. It's kind of cool. But I think this would really do well as a continuous tone all the way through, without the duotone. I think you get a lot stronger feedback on this one. But I do love the image. I think it turned out really great, and that's Hannah. I think that's Hannah, right? One of our models. She was so good.
Yeah, she did a great job.
She
should pursue modeling.
Yep. Okay, so the next image is I'm loving it.
Wow. Okay. All right, Kai, you're first.
Yeah, I will jump in. I like the concept. I'm a big fan of hard shadows, so shadow play. As far as the pose and the full body shot, again, I would probably crop in, zoom in, even if it's just a portion of the body. Like, for me, it's like I see too much. I kind of want to have something left to the imagination. So even if it's just the hands against the wall, or even if it's just like the lower back, like that to me would actually be much stronger as far as like trying to wanting to actually envision what else there might be. But the shadow play itself I like a lot. I like the styling of the model. The pose itself is great. The floor, I would either like to see more of the floor or less of the floor. Right now there's like two parts of the floor, so there's like a weird transition between the boots, the floor, and then the edge of the image itself. But overall, I would heavily explore crop options here. Lower back, just the hands against the wall or something like that.
Yeah. I only have a couple comments on this one. It's a great shot. It's very, very creative in the pose, obviously. I think Troy, I know you're going to disagree with me with this, but the key line around the image, I think that in the case of this image, some images it works great. In the case of this image, I think it detracts from the overall image. I don't think we need that. Like we say when we're doing our TWIP Pro critiques, if it's not adding to the story, in this case, this model or the pose is a story, but if it's not adding to the story, consider getting rid of it. And that I don't think that adds in. I think that key line around the edge, Troy, is blatant pandering to you because you love that.
I mean, I enjoy a proper key line. For the gentleman or for the person that entered this type of key line in regional competitions, the judges would struggle with. You want to keep your key line right at the edge of the image mostly, and keep it super subtle to show the edge. But I'm kind of with you. I think it's a little distracting. So
yeah. And the other thing, in your camp, Troy Miller, would be that I think this probably would have been stronger black and white. To Kai's point of it being sort of an interplay of light and shadow, dropping the color out of it would hammer that point home a little bit harder. So a little bit more contrast in there.
I do think so. Yeah, I think black and white could work really, really well, or some sort of creative monochromatic toning. Mm-hmm. This is also one of those kind of images that you kind of have to pick, like what Kai was pointing out, like what is your focus, right? I mean, this could be a boudoir shot, so you clearly want to see her backside, or do we want to see her hands because they're so bright? Kind of do your dodging and burning and cropping to really just let us know, hey, what's the story you're telling? I do love the image. I love the fact that this person saw these streaks coming through, and I think a little bit of tuning it could get even better. So I think I dig it. I think it's a good shot.
Troy, just before we leave this one, would you have the model? Let's just make the assumption that this is a boudoir shot. So you're trying to evoke some sort of sensuality and, sexiness to the shot, which obviously it does right now. But to have the model turn a little bit and look at the camera, just sort of kind of cheating and peeking towards the camera slyly, would that have improved this image? Because I struggle with it, with her hands up like that. It almost looks like, there's a cop there.
There's two poses. There's two adjustments I would make to this image, or three. One, drop the right hand so the right elbow pushes out. Turn her head to the right so I can see a little bit of her profile, and bend her left knee, and that'll drop her hips and give her like this wonderful S curve to her body, and that would change everything about the whole mood. But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, posing is such an art, man. It's an art and a talent. Yeah, because you bend one joint and it changes the whole image. It's crazy.
It does. It does. All right. Awesome image. Good critiques. We're going to move on to the next one. The next one is light against the darkness.
Oh, okay.
Light against the darkness.
All right. I will jump in. I like the concept. I'm struggling with like what the light is. Like obviously there's a light source in his face, but it's not really sure where the light source is coming from. It's like I can't tell if he's casting a spell or if she's releasing some energy. So it's like as a viewer, like light is guiding your eye, or light is guiding your how you actually go through the image. So when I basically see all the light in his face, I'm basically trying to figure out like, okay, where is this light coming from? And there's no obvious answer to that. At which point I'm lost in the story. I'm trying to figure out like what's going on here. Mm-hmm. But I like the composition. I like the Photoshop work. It's like I think there's a I like the direction. I just think it could go even further.
Yeah, I agree. I like the direction as well. I think we could have put these two models closer together, which I think if those cherubs in the background are composited in, then you could easily do that with a content aware scale. You could have easily kind of slid these two halves a couple of centimeters closer, and I think having them a little bit closer would have added a little bit more tension to it. Otherwise, we have all that blank space between them, and we're wondering, hey, what's going on? Or at least throw some lightning bolts in there or something.
Right. Well, I think Kai makes a good point. Is where is the light coming from? If it's coming from him, it shouldn't be on his face. Mm-hmm. If it's coming from her, from her body, then why are the back of her wings lit? And so even though we can form the story in our head, we look at the light and we try to figure out, and then there's telltale signs that tell us, well, like, okay, there's light behind her too, and there's light on her right wing. And so if it's coming from her body, So some of those subtleties do make a difference. I love the concept. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
and then the caveat is that the people that submitted these images didn't have exact all the time in the world to create these images and infinite control over light placement and all that. So we got to throw that in there.
Sure. Kai, did you have something else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, no, I was just about to say it's like since it's already composition, basically it's like you can basically either add or subtract more light. Basically, if the light is coming from her, it's like maybe burn on the wings, and then basically have more light radiating from her body, so it's actually clear that so there's like story light is coming from her pushing him away.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so our next image is called Mermaid Essence.
Can you zoom that up a little bit, Troy?
Yeah, I don't know why that one came through so small. No, it's not. It's not going to let me zoom in on that.
Well, I'm gonna have to take points off for the size of this. No,
I don't want to mess with losing the feed if I bounce around too much.
Yeah, no worries.
Right.
No worries. I will jump in. Like for me, it's like I wish this would be shot at a small aperture. I wish the eyes would be in focus and the net would not be in focus. For me, there's like too much stuff in focus. So again, it's like I'm basically trying to figure out like what's the story, like what should I focus on? And the first thing I focus on is the net, and I don't think that's the right place to focus on. And then it's like as far as the model, it's like she looks what's the right word? She looks not uncomfortable, but it's like she looks it's not sad, it's not uncomfortable, but it's like there's something about it that's like that she looks, it's like maybe uncomfortable is the right word. It was like she's or not confident. She's like she doesn't have a confident look into the camera, and since she's connecting with the camera itself, that basically comes through in the subject itself.
Yeah, my brain searches for building stories on images like this, and I see a mermaid caught in a net, right? Which is a referendum on overfishing on the planet or something like that. But I think overall, if I was to change anything in this image, like I was saying, the eyes, especially on a crop this tight, getting closer to making not even cropping closer, we're already cropped tighter, but doing maybe a vignette, a very subtle vignette or something, or some dodging on the eye area, just so that her eyes are the center of the story here. Right now, obviously, our eyes, when we look at images, our eyes go to the brightest point in the shot. And what's the brightest point in this shot? Probably that negative space on the right there is the brightest spot. And then we subconsciously want to see a face, so we go to the eyes, or we go to the eyes, then to that blank space. I think if we made the eyes a little bit more obvious, we could kind of guide the viewer to her eyes and make eye contact with this model quicker.
Good feedback. All right, so the next image here is one bizarre fishing trip.
Oh, yeah, that's that mermaid again. That's like she's still in the net, right?
I like the black and white. I would crop it in. Again, it's like I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's like one thing you learn over the years is or with more experience is that crop is your best friend. It's like if you don't crop in camera, you can always crop in post. And it's like in this one, it's like the I don't know what's that thing is on the right. There's like a light and there's a tunnel or there's like a hallway or something. I'm not really sure that actually adds to the image itself. So I basically look at the subject and then I look at the hallway, and I'm not sure what the hallway adds to the image itself or to the subject. I do like the pose. I do like the concept of like her being in the net. But I would basically emphasize that more. I would basically crop out the right hallway and basically punch in on her on the mermaid itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think the tension of the mermaid being a little bit too close, the mermaid and the net being a little bit too close to the left side of the frame. If the crop was, either the mermaid was moved over to the right a little bit, and we, like Kai was saying, crop off some of that right side of the frame, which is basically dead space, which I know Troy Miller's going to say could be used for text if this was a double page spread in a magazine, but 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 if it's not, then we could lose some of that. But the use of negative space isn't always a negative, obviously. But in the case of a shot like this, you've got a lot of neutral tones on the left there. We want the eye to go to the mermaid or to this person that's caught in the net, but instead we're going to the bright areas in the shot. And there's two really bright areas, and we're kind of bouncing and ping-ponging between those areas, and then we find this other person, which is kind of hidden in the mid-tones there. So, yeah, to sort of mitigate that a little bit, drop those hot spots down a little bit, bring her up a little bit, and crop in a little bit tighter would have made this a stronger image, I think.
Perfect. Okay, our next image is called Portrait.
Portrait. This one is interesting. It's like, for me, there's like nothing jumps out, but at the same time, also nothing is bad. It's like it feels very flat. It's like this to me is like it's an okay shot, but it's like there's like
I think her eyes are out of focus, right? So her eyes not being in focus can be a challenge.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard to tell because we're looking at these images, kind of small. So Troy, you'll have to tell us if we're on the focus.
Because the hair on her right is in focus. It's sharp.
Right.
But her eyes are soft. So, okay. And that's always distracting. And plus her left shoulder is so bright. So I think that, even though we're nice and tight, like Kai likes things to be simpler, right? Like to, really move in. But I think the brightnesses are distracting and then not being in focus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like the shoulder definitely jumps out. The shoulder jumps out. Like this one, it's like, I think if you like play with it with vignetting or dodging and burning to basically just like bring out the stare, bring out the look. Because like the look of the stare, that's kind of like, that's your subject right here.
Right. Yep. Okay, well, let's go ahead and jump to the next image. It's called Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords.
Swords. Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. I'll jump in. I like the pose. I like the model, the clothing. I like the styling. To me, it's like there's like too much of a highlight on the forehead. The forehead is basically is overexposed. And then also I'm trying to figure out like what the stare is. It's like it looks like she's staring up and to the right or like up and to her left, but she's not really staring into the lamps. She's staring somewhere else. So it's like I would probably take the lamps out because like there's like a juxtaposition where it's like she's staring but she's not staring into the lamps. And I would also take the background out. It's obvious that this is like a theater setting or a cinema setting, which kind of like takes away from the story itself. Like why would this person be in the theater? So.
Yeah, my quick comments on this. I think the light on her face is it's way too hot. Couple stops at least, too hot because we're burning out her face. I like the contrasty feel of this because it sort of adds to this is a warrior. This is a strong warrior that's either just coming back from battle or getting ready to head out or something like that. Kai, I agree with you that it looks like the artist intentionally cropped this to include that lamp in there so that she's sort of facing towards it. I don't know if that is successful because she's facing, although it is, she's aiming towards it, but she's looking away from it. So it kind of, with the highlight on her face and with the brightness of that light, your eye goes up to the corner and like, why are we looking at that light up there? And what's that light on her face? And the two different color balances, so I'd agree with you. I'd either cloned out or cropped out that light and brought the overall exposure down a little bit on her face for sure.
Right. Well, it's like, I think as a viewer, you're basically, it's like when you connect with the subject and the subject's looking at something, you basically continue their stare. You basically try to figure out what they're looking at. Mm-hmm. And basically it's like, if the artist intended they're looking at staring at the lamp, but they're not staring at the lamp, then all of a sudden you basically lose that connection. Right. And in this case, like the lamp is behind her, so the lamp is not really like casting the light on her face. So, which, like, I think if you would basically like crop the lamp out and then basically like play with the contrast, like even if this one would be overexposed, I feel like that you can basically rescue the image by basically making that the focus of the image, basically just like go with high contrast, and then maybe even go like unexpose the image itself, high contrast, and then black and white.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and add grain, black and white, and add grain saves everything.
Yeah, that's right. I very rarely think about that because Troy, you bring that up a lot, adding texture, adding grain, and for some reason my brain just never goes to that because I think I'm from the film era, where grain was evil for the most part, and it was something you just had to deal with if you wanted to shoot low light conditions, right?
Right.
And
right.
now we can use it as a tool. I have to learn to embrace the grain.
Yeah, embrace the grain.
Yeah.
All right, our next image is called Reach. Reach.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, this one
starts this one.
Yeah, I will start. I like the silhouette. I like the lighting. I like whether the lighting is basically just like showing off the silhouette. I like the black and white. I like the posture. I wish that the posture would be more pronounced. I feel like if you go for this kind of posture, I feel like the arm needs to be extended straight out. And I feel like there needs to be more tension in her body. It feels a little bit like I feel like she's a little bit too relaxed or like slouching too much. But I do like the concept a lot.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, yeah, there's some changes that could have been made, but I'm looking at these, both of you guys. I'm looking at these through the lens of, this is a group setting with a bunch of photographers and a model that they didn't pick in a situation that they didn't pick with lighting that they couldn't barely control. So, the fact that these images are at this level is just, it's amazing. And you look at this shot, I love this. What is this lighting technique? I think Joel Grimes started this with I believe he did, where you have the sort of the side light on either side of the model. Troy
hatchet.
Hatchet lighting, yeah. Like he started this in like a Sports Illustrated cover where you have an athlete sitting there with a basketball or something lit on either side, and then it's really high contrast, and the athlete's making dead eye contact with the lens, holding the ball. I love that kind of lighting because it has that strip of shadow down the middle of the subject. Like look at her arm there. There's just that strip of shadow. It's almost like an X-ray. It looks really cool. But then, so that from a lighting technical standpoint, awesome. But then my brain goes to story. Okay, what's going on here? What is she reaching for? What's happening? So, I want to feel a story in here. I want to at least, connect dots so that I can make myself think what's going on here, or other than just a pretty girl in interesting clothing reaching up into the sky. So that's yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting challenge for these kinds of events too, where you are constrained and you gotta try to make something. It's not something from nothing because you clearly have lighting and models and makeup and all that stuff, but still you're in a crowd and you're under duress and you got to make something cool. So yeah, it's interesting what people come up with.
Yeah,
very true. I wonder what this would look like if you just crop the torso, like the head, just slightly above her cleavage. Because like the face is nicely lit. You basically see the silhouette of the face, the nose, the eyes.
Yeah. It's almost like a statue, right? It looks like a statue that you'd see at Atlantis or something, right? It's just like
yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Nicely done. All right, our next image is called Realm of Dreams.
All right, Troy, I'm going to have to get my loop out to see this.
All right.
I know it's in the drawer here somewhere. Let me find it.
All right, I will jump in. I like this. I like the styling. The biggest thing I'm trying to figure out here is like, what's the story? It's like I can't figure out what the story is. Like she is holding on to a rope that's tied to a curtain, and then like I'm trying to figure out like how all these pieces fit together. And to me, it's like photography. It's so much about story. Like even the simplest photography, there's always a story. And like to me, it's like the more elements you add, the more the story like more or less like needs to come together, unless it's just like total just chaos.
Yeah.
So it's like for me, like this one, it's like I'm trying like mentally I'm trying to figure out what the story is and I can't figure it out. And I'm lost in the image. But I do like the styling, I do like the lighting. Um,
Yeah, sometimes less is more with these kind of shots because we've got fantastic costumes and makeup and sets going on here. It's almost like a salad with too many ingredients in it because your taste buds don't know what to go to next, so you end up not enjoying anything. Like a shot like this, just having that one model, one or the other models in there, or some sort of play with the rope or something to like you said, kind to sort of drive the story, come up with a story in your head, even if it's a ridiculous one, and build around that. Right.
right.
Rather than, okay, it's something good's got to come out of this. I'm just going to throw every ingredient in the kitchen in there and throw it in the stove. Something's got to taste good. Right.
Right. All right, guys. You guys are leaving me nothing to critique, so I'm just going to keep moving along. This is good. We're about halfway through. So the next image is called Scared.
Scared.
Yeah, this is very similar to the other one, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'll jump in first on this one. Yeah, so Scared. The first thing that strikes me on this one, I want to make sure I'm doing the zooming here too, Troy, to help you out. So let's see.
Yeah, trying to get it. I can only go somewhere in between.
Yeah, yeah. So the biggest thing that I see on this image are, it's just like the other one. It's almost the opposite of the other image we saw like this, where that one was cropped extremely tight. Maybe it was the same model in the same situation, just a different angle. This one is a little bit looser, right? So we could get a little bit closer on the model. Again, like I said for the other one, focus in on her eyes. Maybe push that background down a little bit so that it's not competing with the foreground. And my eyes are going to her hands because those are the brightest things in the scene that are alive, right? So I'm looking at her hands and they don't match the rest of her. So maybe I would have, in post toned those down a little bit somehow. Again, because the hero of the shot is her face and the crazy headdress she has going on there. So maybe focus on that. Maybe crop up a little bit, maybe just below the octopus tentacles on her chest there. And maybe in just a little bit all around, burn down on her hands, pop the face out a little bit, and I think it'd have been a stronger image.
Yeah, Kai, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I don't have to add much there. To me, I think there's also a little bit of soft focus on the eyes, and maybe that's just the resolution that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
I can't tell if the eyes are focused or not. But with this type of image, you need a like a clear field of focus, and it's not really clear in this one.
Right. All right. Okay, so our next image is called See Her. SEAHER. See Her.
You didn't tell me you had sea turtles at F64.
Yeah, just about to say that. How do you get?
They were in the back. They were just hanging out. They were chilling.
How do you get there? I like this one a lot. I like the connection between the mermaid and the turtle itself. I think this one is like there's like a nice play of fantasy here. There's like a clear there's a clear connection between those two subjects. I like the color toning of it. I would probably add a little bit more vignette, a little bit more burning on the edges. I can't tell if the mermaid is in focus or not. But there's like. To me, it's like there's like this one. There's like a story there. There's basically it's like she's connecting with the turtle. I like this one.
Yeah, I like it too. This is one of my favorites so far. It's because it's intentional. It feels like a lot of the elements in here are intentional. Even the angle of the model and the positioning of the turtle there at that sort of off kilter angle there, which kind of sells the fact that they're in a three-dimensional underwater environment. So it feels like that. The color palette matches between, it's very similar between the sea turtle and the model there. I like that. And even the vignette to draw our eyes in. Like you said, kind of your brain can easily paint a story. This is this is the princess with her, the pet sea turtle she grew up with, or something. So.
Yeah.
There's also like a clear story of the light, right? It's like there's like her face is lit up, and then the light is behind the turtle, and the light is basically coming, like the turtle is coming at her, or like they're connecting. So it's like, to me, there's there's like a clear sense of like where the light is going in this image.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this is really nice. I could see this one printed. I mean, we can't see the original, so we just have to make the assumption that it's tack sharp all the way through. If it is tack sharp all the way through,
it is very sharp. Yeah, I can
then
see
this
it on
this would make a nice print. I would love to see this printed big.
Yes. All right. Very good. All right. So our next one is She Knows. Maybe pop back a little bit because I think we're over Zoom. There we go. She Knows. Another one of our incredible models.
All right, I will jump in first. For me, I was trying to figure out, like, there's something going on with the proportion that I can't figure out. I like the pose. I like the connection with the camera. I would probably do more dodging and burning to basically bring the viewer more in to the face itself. And to me, it's like I can't tell if it's like the angle of the camera, but the head itself looks too big for the body. And I'm not sure if that's like just the camera position or if it's just the lighting. But there's like something that's proportionally it's a little off.
Yeah, I agree with that. It feels like it's a wide angle lens, maybe that's shot slightly above eye line, which is distorting her upper body and her head, making it, because her head is larger than her body should be, So, and that's what you get when you shoot with a wide angle lens for portraiture and close. This is a portrait, so I probably would have done a passive retouching on her to smooth some things out and make this a better portrait for her. Probably would have had a different lens choice, and maybe cropped in a little bit, because the subject of this is her face, so we don't really need to see her lower arm and all that. I might have cropped it just enough to see that she has a garment on the shoulder, and then proportionately upward around there. I don't know. Troy, what do you think? Do you think the keyline border faux matte treatment on this adds to it or takes away? In my head, it just automatically, not automatically most of the time, but usually it feels like it takes away because it's not really adding to the story. If you want to draw the eye in, my rule of thumb would be vignette, to draw the eye in, the viewer's eye into the eyes of the subject versus putting a matte on it. But I'm curious to know what you would think.
I don't mind the key line. The key line's not bad. I think that it defines the edge of where the image is. So the treatment's nice. I'm okay with that. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. This one over the previous one had the bright sort of like a red color because red is an overpowering tone. So I like this. I mean, but I see this a lot. This is very traditional in our competitions that we do at IAPPV. So this is nice.
Cool.
All right. So our next image is called Shh. There we go.
All right, Kai, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I will jump in. I like it at first. There's like, I like the lighting. I like the postures. Again, it's like, for me, it basically comes down to story. I'm trying to figure out like what the story is. So it's like I think it would be a much stronger image. It would be the focus on just one of them. I feel like there's like too much light on both of them. So it's like, as a viewer, I can't figure out what the story is. Like, is the focus on her? Is the focus on him? Is he trying to whisper in her ear and she's basically asking him to be quiet because they're in a theater? So it's like, I like the styling. I like the polka dots. But I would probably like pick either one of them, and you probably could make two images out of this. You could probably have like one image where she's in focus, like basically guiding the light to her, and then have another image where he's in focus. But having both like basically lit up makes it hard for me trying to figure out like where should I focus in this image.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that sort of I agree with everything Kai said, but the thing that I think gets me is the rim light is a little bit strong in the back. So it's it's a little bit strong. You could tone that down just a little bit, but you obviously have to do that during photography. And then the shadow around the guy's mouth, it's sort of obscuring his mouth. little bit in that, for some reason that's bugging me. I don't know why. I want to see more. If this is about a I want to see more of what was, what she was shushing. So.
Mm-hmm.
Good points. All right. Our next one is 2B.
All right, I'll jump in. I like the styling. I like the costume. I like that the headpiece is actually shown in full in this one. I wish you could see the sword all the way, and I think this might have been strong if it would be extreme landscape, where it's basically it's like even if she would be off center, but I feel like the sword is cut off. I kind of want to figure out like what she's pointing at. So it's like I would probably go landscape, have like the sword all the way in. Yeah.
Yeah, I struggle with this one, just in like you said, the sword is cut off, but also her legs are cut off at the bottom. So it maybe part of me wants to say lose all of her legs, because we can't get them in there. So
Right.
lose all of her legs and just sort of crop her up to the torso, which would bring more emphasis into her face and to her holding the sword. Which some swordsmen would say that's an incorrect way to hold a sword, but
Yeah.
but I want to see, like Kai said, I want to see more of that sword. Aim it at me, aim it at the camera, so that you can get more in there, or hold it perpendicular, something. But it's a double whammy of it being cut off, and then her looking at something that you can't see. So she's stabbed nothing over there. So it sort of adds negative tension.
All right. Girl in the Sun 2.
All right, I'll jump in. I like the pose. I like how she's holding her glasses. Again, I like the play of the shadow. Basically, it's like if you're shooting in direct light and in direct sunlight or during high noon, I think you basically have to leverage the shadows to your advantage. What's throwing me off in this image is I don't think there's enough separation between foreground and background, and then also the rain gutter. That's something that is hard to ignore. It's like once you see the rain gutter, it's kind of hard to basically look at the model the same way. So I would probably move the model away from the wall, and then reposition myself. And then the last thing that stands out is looks like there's the shadow from the cameraman. Against the wall at the bottom, and again, it's also one of those things. Like once you see that, it's kind of hard to ignore.
Yeah, I picked that one out too. You hit two of the things that I was going to talk about. That's that water drain is distracting, and probably should have moved the model away from that. And the camera, the shadow of the photographer in there is sort of aiming up her dress at the bottom. So
Yeah.
that's distracting as well. So I would have either taken that out or made that not look like a camera. It's just a blob of shadow, so you could have distorted it somehow to make it not look as much like a camera if you're going to leave it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Good comments, guys. All right. So stepping into the light is our next one. Stepping into the light.
Ooh.
Ooh, maybe Frederick should start. He made an ooh sound.
Yeah, I like that. I like the eyes. I mean, I'm lost in the image because it's really dark, and then we've got Troy's key line around there again. But it's really dark, and the subject of this shot is the person's face. So my first reaction is, and then it's like obscured. I can't. Like I'm struggling to see what's going on in here, but I like the fact that it's grungy and it's got this sort of Mad Max era costume going on in there. But I want to be closer. I want this to be cropped, maybe even below her hand on that weapon or harpoon or whatever she's holding, cropped in so that she's looking at me, like that eye is like making eye contact with me, versus me having to search and like right now I'm figuring out what's going on in there. Okay, why is that fuzzy on the right side of the frame, and what is that she's holding, and what does she have on, and okay, now I see, there's an eye. I want to crop in tight so I immediately see the eye and then scan the rest of the image.
Kai, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with most of the feedback. For me, it's like I would take the key line. I like the image overall. I think there's like a strong focus on the face and the hand, or the face and the weapon. So there's like, it's very clear that she's like a strong warrior, like a strong fighter. The key line itself to me actually takes away from it kind of blocks the darkness of the image. Like it basically, the image blends into black, or blends into nothing, and the keyline kind of prevents that. So I think if you take the keyline out and basically the image goes into blackness, or a black background, I think it will be much stronger image. And then maybe underexpose the face a little bit. I feel like the face is a tad too overexposed. I think it jumps out too much too soon. But I do like this image.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, Troy. There's a keyline comment. Sorry. It's 2-1.
Yeah, well, you know what? I know where this comes from. And to be fair, if you enter at any of the local, state, or international competitions under PPA, this is your key line. They're going to tell you that you got to have a key line. So
they say you have to have one? Wow.
Well, they're not going to say you have to, but I love the fact that Kai would prefer it without. But in that competition, they're going to tell you, well, like, I don't know where the edge of the image is. It just kind of bleeds off into black. I want to see the edge of the image. So I don't think
again, it's like if this will be on a wall on the print, right? It will be obvious where the edge of the image is, right?
Right, and I agree. I totally agree with you. But I think that's where maybe the maker's coming from is that discipline of, right. I got to put in a key line, right?
Well, so maybe the feedback actually will be not crop tighter, but actually crop loose, and actually have more black around it, so that actually it goes into the blackness before you hit the key line.
Yeah.
I'm very keyline optional. I know where the discipline comes from in the community that sees keylines. So I love the fact that you said, I wish there was no keyline, because I want them to go away, kind of.
Yeah.
They don't. I can see the purpose, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, we're past that. That's old matting,
Yeah, that's what it feels. Exactly. It feels like old. It feels like a digital representation of old matting. And if you're gonna do old mats, look beautiful. If you're gonna do a mat, do a mat.
Yeah. We've matured past that. So
yeah.
All right. Our next image is called The Abdication.
Uh-oh. Ooh.
Abdication. All right, I'll jump in. I like the pose. I like the posture. I like the light. I like the light on her face. I would probably try to punch the dress out more. I want to see more contrast. It's like, I feel like this almost falls into it almost looks like a wedding dress, even if it's not a wedding dress. But I feel like the white needs to be part of the story here. I think the white needs to be more pronounced. So it's like, I feel like there needs to be like more contrast between the white and the rest of the image. But I do like the posture. I do like the stare. I like that there's actually more space and buffer, so she's actually looking into something. I'm trying to figure out what it is. The one thing that's a little throwing me off is it's like it feels like that her wings are blocking the view a little bit. So maybe if you would actually reposition the model so that she's not looking into her wings, but the wings are actually a little bit more, her torso is a little bit more tilted.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd like to see the foreground almost go completely to black with just a little bit of a hint of reflection in there from the dress. But I'd like to see what this looks like in black and white also. Because I think this would, maybe with some grain, Troy Miller.
Yeah. This image needs some atmosphere. Don't you think? Like
maybe some smoke or something, some fog. Yeah.
Yeah. That would create that foreground element. But
yeah. Right. Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I was talking to someone earlier this week about the three-dimensionality of images and how we as still photographers tend to see in 2 dimensions, but we have multiple dimensions to play in, especially with portraiture, adding that foreground element in there, whether it be compositionally when you're out in the field or, in post, adding a smoke layer. Or even in video, you can add, atmospherics in there to sell the story even more. We tend to stay in our little XY dimension versus, traveling into the Z dimension.
Right. Except Kai, when he does time lapse on his rail, he's working in
the T
dimensions.
dimension.
Yeah.
He's in T.
Yeah. One more comment about this image. You can see the stance in the background. And to Frederick's comment about like basically punching the floor out. If you can remove the background, try to punch it out. Because once you see the light stance in the background, or once you see gear in the background, it's kind of hard to overlook that.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Good catch there. All right. The next one is called Girl.
But Troy, I got to commend you, man. These costumes and these models that you somehow managed to get at F64 are just top notch. Very cool, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, we were very lucky. We got some really amazing models. So
yeah.
My wife did most of the model wrangling too, so she gets all the credit.
All right, Margie.
All right, I will jump in. This one, I like her facial expression. I wish that her face would be in focus. I can't tell if it's just like on the screen, but it feels like that there's like a soft focus. Her eyes are not in focus, her nose is not in focus, her mouth is not in focus. And then I'm also trying to figure out like what she's looking at. This is like similar to the other image that we looked at, was like it's almost implied she's looking at the lights, but the lights are behind her, so she can't be looking at the lights. So there's a disconnect of like, she's looking at the lights, but she's not looking at the lights.
Yeah. Same with that other one, right? The one that was in the theater. Those sconces kind of distract from the overall image. So I would consider, and again, do they add to what the story of this is? In this shot, I look at it and, and this is me, Troy Miller, having learned from doing so many critiques with you, you being the master wedding / portrait photographer, the cutting off of hands, now bothers me. Thank you for ruining me for life. So cutting off of body parts and placing body parts like her hand on the top of her head too close to the edge of the frame, that adds negative tension to me, especially when it feels like we have a lot of space to play with on the other side of the frame that's unused. So, and then this feels like this is me coming off the heels of doing an awesome watch me work session with Pratik Naik about how to retouch people and women specifically. This feels heavy-handed, retouched on her face. Unless she really looked like this, you could tell that she was retouched. She doesn't, most humans don't have this kind of skin. And if you remove too much detail, then it becomes obvious that you were there, and becomes a discussion around what are you trying to hide, that kind of thing, versus, being drawn into the story on or the photo on the merits of itself. So, yeah, so it's a cool shot, beautiful model, but with a couple of changes, I think it could have been a little bit stronger.
Yeah, great observations. All right, the next image is called The Soul Keeper.
Mm-hmm. You want to start, Frederick?
Yeah, you want me to go?
Yeah, Frederick, you go.
Yeah.
All right, I'll dive in. This one's cool. It looks like an illustration, obviously. This is, my brain, obviously, like we've been saying throughout this critique session, your eye goes to the brightest part of the image, right? So the triangle that my eye is making is, I'm looking at what he's looking at first, and I'm looking at his face, and then I'm sort of bringing in the rest of the image. And so I see that first, and I see, okay, this is an interesting image. There's something going on every day. You don't see this every day at Starbucks. But, you look at, well, at least not my Starbucks. I don't know what you guys do in Southern California. but then I'm thinking, okay, what's the story? What's the story for the shot? The next thing that gets me is it feels like a lot of wasted space, the negative black around the edge there. Because I'm assuming that's the whole image, right, Troy? The black, we've got a key line around the shot itself, and then a whole lot of negative black space around there. So why is that there? Why not? I can understand a little bit, but that seems like an egregious amount of black space around the image. So I'd want to know from the artist, why is that in there? And then the last piece of it feels like the subject is leaning backwards a little bit. My brain sees him leaning to the right in the frame versus being perpendicular with the frame, which again adds a little bit of negative tension. Like, why is he leaning backwards?
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right, Kai.
Yeah, just to add to that, I agree on the space around the image. Like overall, I like the concept. Um, I would probably adjust the aspect ratio and the crop. I would probably go from a vertical to a landscape and basically crop in tighter. I'm not sure that his legs at much of the image. And then also the orb that he's looking in feels a little bit too flat, too 2D. There's like a lot of dimensionality in his costume and in him as a person, but in the orb itself, I feel like if they would actually add a little bit more shading to the orb, I think it would actually be more realistic.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. Yep. Good critiques. All right. The next one is called The Paparazzi.
Yeah, I will jump in.
And I'll zoom that up a little bit, Troy.
Oh,
All right.
okay. I can try it too. Let me try a little
No,
quick.
I got it. I got it.
Okay. You got it? Oh, okay.
All right, I'll jump in. This
Good
one
ones.
I absolutely love, and I love it for this simple reason is that a lot of times when you actually go out and shoot something, people miss out turning around and actually looking the other direction, and you actually miss out on a lot of opportunities. So this one to me, it's like even like in the whole series, somebody basically took the time to look around and actually take another perspective on the same scene. Um, and there's like a little bit of a story where it's like the oldest person, or all, like, I would think she's the oldest person, doesn't have a camera on her face, so she's actually enjoying the scenery. And then like this one guy, he's wearing a knee pad, which looks like he's like in for the action or something. I don't know. There's like a lot going on. And like even in my own work, when I actually go out for landscapes, like you basically try to get the perfect sunset. But when you have the perfect sunset, a lot of times the sky behind you lights up. So it's like a lot of times basically it's like just taking different perspectives on the same scene. I think is a great way to explore.
Yeah. No, I agree. And whoever shot this clearly was looking behind them, right? Yeah, I think that's you got to do that. I've seen so many shots that are better than what everyone else was pointing at, and sometimes the shot is the crowd, right? So,
Right.
and this person was like these people were probably shooting, the Devil Angel folks, and the photographer was like, "Well, look at that. That's amazing." Yeah, and there's a story in there.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
definitely that. And then showing, the whole idea. Oh, Troy, we're seeing your Finder, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
The whole idea of showing there are people that are shooting, and then a couple of people that, and it looks like some of the older people in there were like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to take in a moment and put the camera down.
Right.
So the smarter people in the shot are actually using their own lenses versus, Nikon, Canon lenses.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I did. I like that one a lot too. That was fun. And, that was in Christy Elias's class. So,
Yeah.
all right. So Tomorrow's Girl. Yep. And then let me zoom out to fit. There you go.
There you go.
I'll jump in. This one I like. I think it's a strong pose. Like this one is like similar to the other one with the sword. But like we said earlier, it's like basically it's like either you want to see her pointing at the camera or like swinging at the camera, or like you kind of want to figure out like where she's pointing. So in this case, it's like she's connecting with the camera. I wish that there would be more light in her face. I feel like that the face itself, it's really dark. She has like dark lipstick. There's like a lot of shadow on her face. I feel like that there's like if there would be more light in her face, you would instantly connect with the person, or you would more easily connect with the person. And then basically, I would probably also try to take out a little bit of the background, just take some of the exposure out or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think what's getting me in this shot is a couple things. I think she's holding a tomahawk or something. Troy, what is that? It looks like
some kind of like hatchet. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the fact that I have to ask that, means I need to see more of it so that my brain can put together what she's holding. Otherwise, it looks like she's holding a chain for some reason. The other thing is the processing treatment on the model in multiple parts, like on her forearm where she's tatted up, and then on her face, it feels like it's different kinds of processing on her face and her arm. Like her arm looks more contrasty, and her face looks flat, and then the background looks low contrast. So there's 3 levels of contrast in this image that my brain is fighting with, along with the vignette that's around the model. So there's a lot going on there that's taking away from the expression of the model. I think, if we, corrected a couple of those things and then got a little bit tighter on the face, and I was able to see the weapon that she's wielding, it would have been a much more menacing shot. And then, like Kai said, a lot of space on the left side of the shot is unneeded. Like, what is that space for? We probably could have lost a lot of that. I mean, maybe not all of it because she's kind of moving into the frame, but I think that is probably too much to have in there.
Yeah, probably the tree that is like creeping in at the top. I would take that out because it's like I say you don't have a clearly defined edge.
Yeah, crop maybe to the back of that car because the car is kind of cool. The blurry car in the background, I kind of like that. Kind of like that urban, decay kind of thing with her.
Yeah,
in there.
and maybe crop up from the bottom to lose just that little sliver of triangle of sidewalk right there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, good feedback. All right, we're coming down to looks like the last 4. So the next one is called Vanquisher. And
All right, let me zoom that up. Oh, you got it? Oh, good.
Yeah, because it was really small on my side too. So there you go.
I will jump in. I like the pose. I think the pose is strong. I like the costume. I like the lighting. This one I would play with light and shadow exposure. I think the exposure is too flat throughout the entire image. I would probably try to unexpose the entire image and then bring out selected parts. Bring out the face. Maybe bring out the hands. Maybe bring out the writing on the weapon. I think there's like a lot to play with here. I think this image has potential, but I think there's like right now there's just like it's too flat throughout.
Right.
Yeah. When I first look at this image, it reminds me of the fact, like I mentioned, I was at that Sue Bryce, the Portrait Masters thing, and she had a bunch of different photographers there on stage demonstrating different lighting techniques, etc. And there were these painted backgrounds up there, and my sort of evolution as a photographer has always said, painted backgrounds, that's Olin Mills, that's mall photography. Real photographers don't use painted backgrounds. But oh my God, they were making works of art on these painted backgrounds. So I have new respect. Just want to put that out there for the people that are watching this. Those painted backgrounds, some of the ones that they have these days have built-in hotspots on them. So eliminating, in some cases, the necessity to put a backlight behind the model.
Just so you know, they've always had the option to have built-in hotspots.
I didn't know that because I always thought they were kitschy. were kitschy.
No, the good ones, because I got some custom-made backgrounds that have
those things are beautiful.
Yes, they really are.
I mean, and in the right hands with one giant light source and a beautiful model, you just like every shutter click is art. It's amazing.
Well, I think in this example, the background also works because it's in the same color palette.
Yeah,
right. So it's plausible.
And when I look at the shot, I look. We as we all know, as photographers, and humans, your eyes automatically go to the words in the scene first, right? So you're gonna read what's on the whatever, the harpoon. So you're gonna read that, and you're gonna look at her face and see her expression and see if it matches that, and then you're gonna look at the rest of the image. To that end, yeah. So maybe, like Kai was saying, maybe just a little bit closer. And because like Kai said, there's a ton of detail in what she's got going on there, and I feel like I'm being cheated out of it by, although the background is beautiful, but her costume is more interesting and her expression on her face is more interesting. So I'd want to see more of that. Maybe splash a little bit of light or do a little dodging on the side of her face there and underneath her hair if there's some detail in there to bring it out. It feels like it's just a little bit too dark. And then the other thing is, hey, maybe Troy, homage, maybe consider a black and white, crunchy black and white treatment here with some with some grain. Grain.
Add a little grain.
Yeah, I mean, I think this will look cool like that. This would look really interesting.
I do too. All right, so our next image is called Warrior. And let me zoom out just to make sure. Okay, probably keep it in. There we go. Yeah, and if you're wondering, it definitely does look out of focus.
I will go first. I like the styling. I like the costume. I like the connection with the camera. I wish there would be more background separation. Basically, either move the model away from the background or try different aperture. Um, as far as the headpiece, you either need to have the headpiece all the way in or have a much tighter crop. Right now, it feels like there's just like it's accidentally cut off at the top, so there's like a little bit of discomfort there. And I would play with the crop. I'm not sure. It looks like there's a fence pole in the foreground or like there's something in the foreground. That should definitely be cropped out. So in this case, like if I couldn't reposition the model, I would go with an extreme crop. Basically, crop into the face, make sure that it's purposely cropped off, a head crop. Um, and then probably do some dodging and burning to get the background, the background separation that you didn't get in camera.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with all that. Yeah, I think this one could benefit a lot from some clever cropping in there, and that even with that foreground element, whatever that thing is, cropping up above that just to lose it, and then in from the left side of the image, would draw attention into the subject and maybe place the subject's face in the middle. Since her body's kind of at a 3/4 turn there, place her face in the middle. The other thing is she's got looks like what looks to be a fantastic headdress on, but we're losing it in the crop and sort of seeing that headdress for the grass in the background, which we don't really care about. So, if you could reshoot it, or if there was a version of this shot that wasn't cropped that tight, maybe use that one instead.
Right.
And maybe vignette it as well to draw attention into the middle, because it's a lot of brightness and high frequency action happening in the background that's drawing away from the subject. So make some post processing efforts to draw attention into the subject's face.
Yeah, that background is definitely the distractor. Okay, so our next one, our second to last image, actually, yeah, we got 3 left, is Viking at your service.
Mm-hmm.
Viking at your service. Good title, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll jump in. I like the stare. I like the posture. It feels like he's like in a strong position, like a strong posture. I wish there would be less floor and actually more above his head, or just less floor in general. I wish the weapon itself, the axe, would be in the image, or basically just purposely not in the image. Right now, it's just slightly cut off, which basically almost looks like an accident or oversight. And maybe even experiment with a tighter crop itself. Like his upper torso is like super strong, and I like the light on his face.
Yep, Frederick, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Looking at this one, I agree. The weapon is close to the edge of the frame. I don't know if I mean, it probably would crop it tighter because there's a lot of foreground space down there that's unneeded. And maybe that's a job for, content aware scale to make that the handle of that weapon shorter and sort of just shrink it down a little bit so it's not as close to the edge of the frame. Looking at the shot, I don't know that it being in color is doing it any justice. I think if this was black and white, it would obscure a lot of the fact that this is a costume, and it would sell it more, especially if you did a sort of a grungy post-processing treatment on it. Right now, it feels like it's waiting for that. It feels like this is an image that, in the right hands, or the artist that shot it, if they had gone through and pushed it to make it more dramatic, more Mad Max, using those color palettes, maybe sort of the brown, grungy, noisy color, high contrast color palette, it would have brought out the fur detail and the hair detail, and and made it more of an interesting image. Right now, it feels like it literally feels like it's waiting for that to happen to it.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we have in here is we have different color lights. So over his left shoulder, you have a completely different color light than the light that's coming in from his right. So those two tones can be confusing. If you look at like the movie 300 and look at the lighting in there, the lighting is just absolutely exquisite, and the color tones match what's going on the subject. So more editing, maybe a little tuning. It it's begging for attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with Frederick's comments. Especially since there's already a lot of light in his face, there's a lot of light on his shoulder, and a lot of light on his elbow. You could probably go like 2 or 3 stops, maybe even 4 stops down, and still have the highlight on the certain body parts.
Yeah, build some drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just push it all the way and just get a shot of a bunch of ships that are sinking, and cut him out and put him on the deck of the lead ship. It's raining, it's lightning and thunder, and he's praying to Poseidon to save his ship.
Nice.
It's like similar to the warrior that we saw earlier, where you basically like she was almost entirely in black, but then like her face was lit up, and then like just a part of the weapon was lit up.
That would be very cool. All right, we have 2 more images. This is called Warlock.
All right, Kai, you want to go first?
Yeah, this one I struggle a little bit with the background and the patterns. To me, there's like too much going on. Again, it's like I feel like there needs to be more foreground and background separation. And then like all the vertical lines, I feel like I would probably try to do a vertical transform to actually see if you can actually have them purposely vertical, or like crop the side out where it's like very obvious that they're like not vertical.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't need all the stuff on the fence that she's leaning in or standing behind. You just want to get a sense or a hint that she's behind something, but the fence that's basically where she stands behind the fence doesn't add a lot to the image itself. So I would probably just crop the fence out, keep the weapon in, and just crop over her head so you don't have the pokey fence in the top of her above her head. Just try to control the noise in the background and the patterns in the background.
Yeah, I agree, because she's competing with the background, right? Again, brighter colors, right? So we're looking at those brighter colors back there and being distracted, and then there's a heck of a lot of just not important space back there behind her. I think the other competing element is, I think our brains want things to be perpendicular and straight and orderly, and those vertical lines on the right side of the frame are not. So yeah, I agree with that. Play with that a little bit and see if it looks wrong with those vertical, or if you can distort those vertical and then crop in a little bit tighter. The other thing is you're kind of trapped because the weapon is so far away from her body. You can't really crop in too far from the right. You might try some content aware, magic to see if that would not make her look like she's deformed or something. But if there was another shot with her holding that weapon closer to her body so that you can crop in down from the top and over from the left side of the frame, I think that would have made for a tighter image. Plus, I don't think we necessarily need to see her legs and all that. I might crop her from the just above the belly button up, if we had a different pose with her, maybe holding the weapon up in the air or something like that. I would crop up tighter, and that would focus us on that image and allow us to not be so distracted by the background, the bright background, and the non-perpendicular lines in the shot.
Mm-hmm. Right. Good feedback, guys. Okay, we have one more image. This one did not make it into the library for some reason, so I'm just going to drag it over. There you go. And you can see the title up there says "No Feelings."
Yeah.
So this is our last image. Then you have to pick.
Okay. I will jump in. This one I like a lot. I'm a sucker for simple images. But sometimes less is more. It's like I feel like I want to know more about this guy. I want to know more about his story. Like obviously he's got like the chest tatted. He seems to be like a tough guy. I kind of want to know more about the scene. So there's like a lot that that's not shown, that basically, and this is like a theme that I feel like that we hit on throughout the entire critique. Like sometimes less is more, and you basically want to have the viewer trying to figure out what's going on with what the story is. And in this one, I feel like there's like he's staring at something. You can see somebody in his glasses, but it's not really clear what's going on. So I like this one.
Yeah, I agree. I like it is definitely a tough guy, right? Tough guy with sunglasses, got the soul patch and the chest tat, right? Those all those things. Only thing he's missing is earrings, right? So it's definitely a
But that
cool.
would make him more a hipster, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, right. So, but he would slide to the right of being tough and more into the cool hipster era.
Right.
But yeah, this guy, he looks like he could be an actor, a character actor in some kind of movie or something. Looking at the processing of the overall image, I like the shallow depth of field. Because that draws your face right up into his sunglasses and makes you want to search in the reflections of his sunglasses to see what he's looking at. I think that's definitely successful. I like the square crop. It's really cool. We don't really need to see what the tattoos are all about. We just need to know that they're tattoos and we can see that. The black and white treatment, it's completely subjective, obviously, but it's a little flat to me. Like my taste would skew more towards a little bit more contrasty, a little bit more punchy, especially for a grungy shot like this with someone tough. I want to see more detail and more imperfections in his skin. He's lived life. He's beat people up with his little finger. I want to see that and feel that from the shot. With it soft and a little, it's already soft with the shallow depth of field, but
Right.
with the low contrast, it adds to the softness of it, which I think takes away from the strength of this character.
I agree.
Awesome. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, one thing I would add to it is it's like I would probably look at the crop, like the edge of the ear is just like right on the image edge. I would either like crop it just like slightly more and actually give it a little bit of more breathing room. Like when you crop, you kind of always want to check the edges and make sure like nothing is just right on the edge.
Right, because if you were painting this, because one of the things we say is like intentional, like a painter would put the brush there. Would a painter paint off the edge of the frame like that, right? Like you would probably paint the whole ear, or you would intentionally obscure it. So
Right.
That's interesting. I've never thought about it like that. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
That's a good way to look at it.
All right, so you guys have to pick your favorites now. Yeah. So that's gonna be up to you guys to kind of tell me.
Can you share a grid of all the images?
Yes, I can. I'm gonna do that right now.
You understand how to use Capture One? Right?
Well, apparently I exceeded the maximum grid allowance. So.
Oh, okay.
I don't want you guys to see the names. Well, actually, it won't really matter if you see the names because you don't know who everybody is. So let's do it this way. I will bring this in.
I like the blind critique. I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So here we'll bring in. So here's basically the whole collection.
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Right there. So. It's really up to you. I mean, like you guys are going to have to sort of debate on your own what you think.
How many were we picking? We're picking a first, second, and third, or just one hero?
First, second, and third.
Okay, so we have to all unilaterally agree on a first, a second, and a third.
There's no tiebreaker.
And we have to do this in public.
Yeah, you got to do it now. Yeah.
All right, well, I'll start. So one of my favorites, I don't know if it is my favorite, but one of my favorites, Kai, is the sea turtle. What is it called? I can't read it. Sea her?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
It's in my top picks too.
Another one of my good. So we're in agreement there. Well, another one of my top picks is the one on the top next to the Passport Viking, on the right of the Passport Viking. Yeah, that one.
Okay,
so,
that's in my top picks too.
Good. See, look at that.
Wow,
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm struggling with the third one. that's the one. The one that sort of comes in as an honorable mention in third for me is the one to the left of the Passport Viking. And I say honorable mention because I'm hugely not a fan of that oval mat on it, but I love the pose and the look of how, and the lighting and the dark background of the model and all that. So taking that oval background off of it, that would have been probably in my top 2, but now it's in a questionable top 3, or in the third place.
Yeah, don't forget we have this guy in case that.
And this guy, yeah, that guy, yeah, I almost forgot that guy. That one's pretty strong, actually. So it's probably between those two for me. I think this guy, the tough guy, and the soft girl.
Oh, for third. So basically, we got a first, second, and third place. So,
right,
Kai,
cool.
do you agree with any of those? I mean, because if you can,
Yeah,
pick...
I will jump in. So for me, I have 4, and I will narrow it down to 3 during this critique. Within the top 4, it's like the sea turtle and the mermaid. I think it's a very well executed composition. I think it's a very well executed play of light. I think there's a little bit of a story. I like the wide aspect ratio. The From Desolation. I think it's a strong pose. It's a strong image. There's like I think it's overall it's very well lit. Strong composition. And then the other 2, I like the paparazzi simply because I think somebody took the time, turned around, found another perspective within the whole setting.
Yeah.
I think it's like one of those things where it's like everybody basically shot one way, somebody else basically shot the other way, and there's a story in this crazy composition of people. The elderly lady not having a camera, everybody else basically in the crazy position. So that one to me stands out as far as like a creative perspective on the same photo shoot. And then the last one I like too. The last one, the tough guy, just for the simplicity, but at the same time, it's like it tells a story. I want to know more about that person. It's like the reflection in the sunglasses. So those four are like my top 4 picks.
I love shots like that because when I see shots like tough guy shots, I know enough people to know that the image very rarely represents who the real person is. So you look at that shot, I look at him, he's probably an app developer writing software or something like that. Yeah, so it's awesome. It's awesome to let your mind wander like that.
All right. So if I will go ahead. Like if I would have to rate them, I would go with From Desolation. That would be my number 1 pick. I think the Mermaid and Turtle would be my 2nd pick. Tough Guy would be my 3rd pick, and then the Paparazzi would be honorable mention.
Okay, so my flow is Sea Turtle number 1. What is it? From Desolation? Is that I can't read that, but that.
So
that
Kai,
one?
hang on, I'm trying to write these down. So your 3rd was the Paparazzi?
No, my 3rd will be Tough Guy. Paparazzi will be.
Oh, okay, Tough Guy, yeah.
Okay. So we agree on the 3rd, by the way. So we agree on Tough Guy being 3rd.
Okay.
My first is See Her, and my 2nd is the From Desolation shot.
Oh, you guys are flipped.
Yeah. So you're the tie decider there, Troy Miller. So.
Oh no, because I know who all these people are. So you guys got to.
I will tell you why I didn't pick the Sea Turtle as the first.
Yeah, bring that up, Troy. Let's see the sea turtle. Let's see the sea turtle and from the other one side by side, so we can make the decision.
Okay, yeah. Hang on, let me move this out of the way. And we got to go to View Window.
It's a Capture One class now.
Yeah, that's what's happening. All right, so let me get over here to the grid, and so we're gonna show where.
I'm just standing within the ballpark.
Desolation. Yeah, you guys are really close. Yeah. Okay, there you go.
There we go. Okay, and why do you have the highlight on the one in the left? Why are you trying to subtly guide people towards?
I can't make it go away.
That's come on. That's like ballot tampering there. Come on.
No, I switched. I will let you know why I picked the Sea Turtle as number 2nd.
Yeah.
Yes.
Considering that this is like an overall photo critique and photo contest, I feel like the second one has more emphasis on Photoshop work and composition, whereas the first one has more emphasis on the photography and the arts and crafts of photography itself.
But we didn't make any guidelines of it can't be a composite though.
That's true.
These were all on the merits of just the image itself. It could have been a lot of these were complete composites. And so, yeah, but I hear what you're saying. The one on the left is pure photography, right? It's pure fashion or portraiture or
Pure.
whatever you want to say. And it's very creative. And I'm a huge fan of the black background. I love that. And the one light and all that. I think that makes some of the most dramatic portraits. But on the other hand, I love punishing pixels. Pixels were born to be punished, right? So and I love the fact that the right side, it's a compositing. Yeah, obviously it's a composite, but the artist did a great job with the composite. They took the time, on the angles. They took the time on the lighting. They took the time on the color balance. The whole 9 yards. I would argue that the shot on the left is, not to say one is better than the other, although I think that's what we're here to say, but the shot on the left took less effort than the shot on the right. Right. So whoever put the shot on the right together spent a couple hours at least, putting that together and toiling over it and making sure it was perfect. The shot on the left, yes, it's a great shot, but it did not take as much, time to put together. Not that this is a contest of how much effort you put into the shot, but that's a data point.
I don't know. It's like for me, it's like measure output versus input. Like,
yeah. So maybe Troy, maybe we should ask the folks that are watching this.
I think it's you too. You guys agreed in the beginning to.
I don't know.
Not that I am going to sway the vote, but I agree with Kai a little bit more than I agree with you.
Because you're a portrait photographer. That's why.
Well, you talk about work and you talk about like effort. It's not easy to post somebody and communicate with them and put them in that place and put that light there and talk to them. And so really, I think these sort of have equal effort. To be honest, you're really splitting hairs between these two. I don't think you're going to choose wrongly between either one.
Can we have two winners? Because both of these shots stand on. I think they're both winners. They both stand on their own for different reasons.
They're all winners, right? The difference is $100.
They're not all winners. Come on, Troy. It's like, come on.
The winner gets $200.
Everybody's a winner. There are no losers in this baseball game.
He gets $100, and then we already decided the tough guy gets $50. He gets third place, so he's the $50 winner.
Tough guy can battle it out.
Yeah, tough guy's got it. Yeah, he's got his $50. He's happy. So this really comes down to you guys either convincing each other, or I'm just gonna have to pick.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I know it's hard to convince because it's like saying, okay, which do you like better, this off-road vehicle or this Tesla? They're for two different reasons, right?
Right.
They're two different purposes. They do a great job at the thing they're designed to do.
So let me ask you a question, and you guys can answer this. If you were going to purchase a piece of art that you were going to hang on your wall, which one would you pick?
It depends on the room.
I would pick the first one, the photo.
and Frederick would pick
just personal style. Personal preference.
Well, if my aesthetics, if I was gonna pick one, if you see my house, it would clearly be the one on the left, right? That's I don't have much composite art on the wall in the house right now, so that's. Okay, so that's 1 point. So there you go, Troy. You gotta. It's best 3 out of 5. So you got to come up with 5 data points. That's one.
I need to come up with 3. Okay, so 3. So if you were gonna create one yourself, where you could put your skill, you could pour your skill into it. Which one could you do? Which one are you capable of creating?
Both.
You are not. You cannot create that composite.
Well, yeah, I probably could not. Yeah, that's years of skill there. It looks like.
Okay, so the level of difficulty is the portrait. I mean, is the composite for you? That's the level of difficulty.
Yeah.
That's the harder one for you to make. So okay.
Yep.
And Kai.
For me,
how are your Photoshop skills, Kai?
Stronger than my lighting skills, so the portrait, the lighting will be harder for me, simply because I don't work with models. I shoot landscape, but I wish I had that level of finesse and skill. The composite, given enough elbow grease and time, I feel like I can get there.
Okay. All right. So then the final question is that one of these two images you have to put a price tag on, right? One of these two images. You're a gallery shop owner, and you got to put a price tag on these
Oh,
images.
the sea turtle for sure. The sea turtle. I would put it in because the one on the left is great, but I mean, it'd be great for her family, you know, or for an agency that's selling that dress.
Editorial.
But no one's gonna buy that as art to hang on their wall. You know, I think on the right side, someone would absolutely buy that and put it on their, you know, and you could see that absolutely hanging in the gallery giant.
I agree.
Well, I think there's your 3 data points.
All right.
Do I win?
Fair enough. I think they're all 3 stunning images.
Yeah.
And we're splitting hairs here, so.
Yo, for sure. It's fun though. I mean, it's all fun. Everyone did a fantastic job submitting these shots, and you know, this in critique is, I think it's, you know, mostly tongue in cheek, all in fun, but I'm right.
So there's there's our winner. And that is Amelia Durham. And Amelia, you have won the first place prize. You have been chosen. That is amazing. After this long battle too, which is fantastic. So you'll get that. And then your second place winner is by John Donahue. Right here. So John, I believe, and I don't remember correctly, but I think John also won the backpack. The IEPPV backpack, the think tank backpack. So
and Amelia's in the chat room, by the way. So hello.
Great! Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'm not watching that. I'm busy doing.
Hey Amelia, in the chat room, any comments, because you're tonight's winner with your amazing sea turtle image? What do you think? So let us know. Let us know in the chat room so we can read it live on the air and put it in the recording.
Yeah, exactly. And then somehow I lost. I lost Tough Guy. Oh, there he is.
Wait, I'm going to bring Amelia's comment on. This is what she says. So Amelia says, woohoo.
Way to go. Congrats, Amelia.
Yeah.
And then third place is going to be Tough Guy.
And who shot Tough Guy?
Michael Kautz.
Oh, Michael Kautz. Awesome.
Michael Kautz. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
And then... so congratulations to you guys. So our Miller's Choice Award. So Miller's Professional Imaging saw all of these images and they pick their favorite. And they're, like I said, they're going to get that awarded plaque, and they will also get $150 wall art certificate from Miller's. Is Reach.
Look at that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is Peter Levshin's.
Peter shot that? Wow.
Yeah.
There are no Aborigine or anything in that shot. How did he?
I know. And this is shot in infrared, which I know he shot that there. So
I've never seen this kind of work out of. I would never have pegged that Peter Levshin shot this. That's crazy.
Yep. So that's Peter. So there you go. Our first place winner, second place, third place, and the rest of them are runners up, of course. And then the Miller's Choice Award. So congratulations to everybody. That's fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah. Congratulations, everyone.
Everybody. Thanks for sharing.
You guys rocked it. You guys rocked it.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, I stopped the screen share, but I didn't have to because you have full control.
I have full control over all that you see and hear. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome job. Thank you to my judges, to Kai and Frederick, for coming and spending time doing this. You guys, amazing feedback and perspective on all these images. I really respect all your feedback. So that's good. Thank you for doing that.
My pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, perfect. All right, guys. It's a wrap.
That's it? Is it do I have permission to end the stream? Is that
you
what
can.
you're telling me? All right.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for
All right. Hey, wait, before we end the stream,
yeah.
In the chat, the Pennings family mentioned that she does painted backdrops. And I want to find her Instagram. I want to read it live. Yeah, at DBC Backdrops. At DBC Backdrops.
Nice. So
during our commentary about painted backdrops and how cool they were, she mentioned that.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Well, see you guys next time.
Good deal. Ciao, guys. Good night.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Peace. See ya.